All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. My name is Stephanie Cashier Rodriguez. I am the chair of One Buchanan. I want to thank you all so much for coming out today for our celebration of Women's History Month with the Women's Forum. Our subtitle for the event is Herstory, and how empowering women of today are, not only in our community, but throughout the country. Let's face it, we live, every last single one of us, because of a woman of her body and her choice. And so it is very important to celebrate women in general. I want to go into, it's a great honor, once again, to welcome all of you on behalf of One Buchanan board members for coming out to our forum. As history is a snippet of information about his story, today we want to acknowledge and discuss her story. One of our focuses today is to support women and recognize our local outstanding women of power who affect and contribute to our communities daily, not only for their families, but willing to work with your families as well. One Buchanan is dedicated to creating and sustaining a community of women leaders to help develop our children's future, which will lead and build leadership that resembles these strong women before us. We established this forum to provide an opportunity to share experiences and thoughts about the future of women in our households, government, and communities such as Buchanan. I want to thank the Michigan Gateway Community Foundation for blessing One Buchanan with grant funds so we can co-sponsor this forum for all of you today. Since founding the One Buchanan Committee in 2016, we have been committed to our core beliefs in community and highlighting equitable resources and opportunities. We believe that by listening with empathy, we can connect and understand our diverse perspectives. We value our diversity of race, cultural, ethnicity, religion, gender identity, sexual orientation, physical and mental abilities, age, socioeconomic status, and housing status. I want to introduce to you all our panelist and keynote speaker. After Dr. Bernice Patterson provides her presentation and words of empowerment, we will have a short intermission, and then we'll finish our forum with direct questions from our keynote speaker to our panelists, and then a few questions, if time permits, from our audience. On our program, if you would like to reach out to any of our panelists directly, we have provided their email addresses, or you can come and speak to them directly for direct contact. First of all, our keynote speaker is Dr. Bernice Patterson. She is the founder and CEO of Infinity Consultation Group. Please wait. We are also honored to have Honorable Mabel J. Mayfield. She serves as the Chief Judge of Berrien County Trial Court. We have Janet Bloch of Lubeznik. You know what? I asked her how to pronounce it and I still messed it up, but y'all got it. Lubeznik Center of Arts out of Michigan City, Indiana. And our final panelist is Miss Vicki Brown of Dustin's Place. This is an adolescent grief counseling group out of LaPorte, Indiana. Please welcome all of our panelists. Thank you, ladies, for being here. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Dr. Patterson.
Hello, everybody. Oh, y'all doing good already. Y'all talking to me. So one of the things it did not mention on there is, yes, I am the founder and CEO of Infinity Consultation Group, and I'm a psychologist by day, but I'm also a licensed and ordained Baptist preacher. So I'm going to expect crowd participation. Because I like for you to talk to me when I talk to you. So y'all all right with that? Amen. Come on with the amen up front. We're going to have a good time this afternoon. So I'm excited today because it is Women's History Month. Now, I'm already partial to the month of March because Last Saturday was my birthday. I bring the month in. Thank you very much. I'm 43 with a very small child, and I keep saying, Jesus, I'm old and I got arthritis, but we gonna make it anyhow. But I'm excited because with it being Women's History Month, we really get the opportunity to take the time out to really celebrate ourselves. One of the things, and many of you may know my mother, the late Barbara Clark, who was the sitting mayor of Buchanan, Michigan, during her passing. She is my example of what women's empowerment really looks like. To be blessed to be raised in a household where women were not only given a voice, but encouraged to use that voice, changed and shaped who I turned out to be as a woman. To know that my mother was the first elected African-American mayor in the history of this great city. It was something that I could wear and know as a place of pride. But it also held an accountability of greatness is in you. Yes. Don't waste it. Yes. So as I look around this room, I see history, I see strength, I see courage to do what many are afraid to do, and that is to just live. So I want you all to give yourselves a round of applause for just deciding to live your life and live it well. So today I want us to focus in on a couple of things. As women, we are agents of change. If you want to stop a society, you do not take their men, you do not take their youth, you take their women. We are givers of life. Life does not happen without us. You can dislike a woman, you can disrespect a woman, but you did not get here without a woman. We are powerful, but I think it is easy to lose track of that as we get caught in the day-to-day of doing all the things. Even today, it is about 2:15, and in the back of my mind is the fact that my 14-year-old son is at home by himself, an hour and a half away from here, and today he has to take an Uber by himself 15 minutes away. Now, when I tell y'all, I'm going to keep looking at my husband like, is you on the phone with him? Did he make it? Is he safe? Is Skylar mama, did she sign off? Is it? Because as a mother, I'm always doing 14,000 things. Now, how many of y'all can identify with you never just do one thing at one time? It's I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm thinking about work, I'm thinking about my friends, I'm thinking about my parents if they still living, I'm thinking about the dog and if he went out to use the bathroom yet. We do all the things all the time. And I think it is a superpower of ours, but I also think that just like a good superhero, we all need a day off. We all need a moment to take a breath and just rest. And I think our empowerment, our strength, our ability to make a difference comes from our ability not just to do, but to learn to just be. So today, as we think about how do we empower women? Well, the first thing I think we have to do is we have to understand and respect and honor our history. As I was preparing for today, I was digging into the history of the women's rights movement. Now, Mrs. Ryder is not able to be here with us today. Hi, Mrs. Ryder. Y'all wave to her. She in California right now, warm. So we're a little jealous because that little white stuff keep falling without permission. But as I was digging into this, I was amazed at the statistics concerning the rights of women. Now, I was born in 1982. My mother was born in 1945. My mother was not born with the right to vote. My mother was not born with the right to own property. She was not born with the right to have her name on a credit card without the cosign of either a husband, an uncle, even her brother, Jesus. I said, not your brother can co-sign for you. What if he younger than you and bad with his money? Like, I'm so confused. How is this the law? All because of our gender. Do you understand that the women's rights movement started with a simple tea party? 4 women, Elizabeth Cady Stanton was one of these women, sat down to have tea. See, I need you to understand there is power of when women come together, because we tend not to just talk, but we strategize and we make plans, and we are crazy enough to believe we can make it a reality. These 4 women sat down and had a conversation and began to talk about the disservice that the United States was giving to women. This was approximately about 70 years after the Revolutionary War, and by the time these 4 women got done having tea that afternoon, not only had they made the decision to have a conference on women's issues, but had already decided on the date, the time, and the location. I said, come on, y'all. We going to get it together and say, listen, what time you got a play date? All right, I'm free on this date. We going. These 4 women led what seemed like an impossible charge to say we as women deserve not to be seen as part-time citizens, but we are fully people and we deserve to be treated as such. It is because of their tireless work, it is because of their determination that 72 years later, women were granted the right to vote. Now, could you imagine that? 72 years later, you finally get the right to vote. These women didn't even live to see their vision come to fruition. I want to encourage you that the seeds you plant today have the ability to become trees tomorrow. You may not be the one to see the harvest, but know that your work is not in vain. So the things and the words that you plant into other people, you may not see it come to fruition, but your seed eventually will give fruit. Because of what these women did, other laws began to come into place. Things like Title VII, things like Title IX. I'm excited because if it was not for Title IX, I would not be a doctor. Do you understand that women were not allowed to do certain professions? I'm sitting up here, I'm a doctor, Judge Mayfield, a whole judge, and I believe you had to start as an attorney. So, yeah, we would not be able to do what we do. Now, don't add to the fact that we're African-American women, because that added a whole nother issue of us actually being able to be the women God created us to be. Do you understand how powerful you are as a woman? We shape and shift worlds just because we show up and we are not willing to take no for an answer. So I want to encourage you, as you understand who you are as a woman and the power that you have the ability to change things. The next thing I want you to understand is that as a woman who seeks to empower, we have to learn to speak life into other people. One of the things, if you ever had the opportunity to meet my mother, when my mother would hug you, you knew you had been hugged. Your whole body would just, you'd be like, well, you know what? My credit bad, but maybe I'm going to be all right. She had a way of seeing you and letting you know that not only are you seen, you are heard, and you are valued. There is something so powerful about when people speak words of upliftment into you. Have you ever been struggling in your life, and somebody comes along and just tells you, thank you for being you. Thank you for just being my friend. Not that you've done anything in particular, but that they just celebrate who you are. You have the power to do that. You know, when we're in church and folks is being stingy with amens, a funny thing we'll say from the pulpit is like, you know, you ain't got to hold on to them. God ain't going to give you a cut in line if you got extras when you get there. The same thing goes for compliments. I love to just be out and about and see a woman and just, you know, part of this is black colloquialisms, but like if I saw Stephanie and I was like, earrings, okay. Now, all I said was 2 words, but she know I think her earrings is too cute. And then you walk a little bit different when somebody compliments you. You feel a little bit different. As women, we have the ability to speak life into dead things, and they get better. Do you understand how powerful that is? So many women now on social media and whatnot will talk about, you know, they write affirmations and notes and put it inside of like their kids' lunches because they're like, hey, I want you to know how I feel about you, and I want you to know you have a worth. And a good friend of mine, she had been right on top of it and was doing this for her kids every day, doing it. Well, life had got to lifing, as it often does, and it does not call first to see if this is a good time. She had been forgetting to write these notes for her children. Well, one morning she was sitting there, and her daughter had got out the notepad and was writing herself a note. And at first, my friend, she felt bad. She said, oh, my God, I've dropped the ball to the point that my daughter has to encourage herself. But then she had the realization. She said, wait, I want my words to become her truth. I want the things that I speak over her to resonate. That she's like, whether mommy says it or not, I know I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I know that I am the giftedness of Christ. I know I'm the righteousness of Christ. This is what your words have the power to do. So I want to ask you, how are you using your words? Are you using them to build, or are you using them to tear down? Do you give people permission to be them, or do they have to send their representative in order to be in your place? Now, y'all laugh and you say, well, what do you mean, Dr. Patterson, your representative? Oh, well, you know who that person is, the one who I have to stand a certain way. And oh, well, hello, how are you doing today? I ain't talked like that a day in my life. Now, I'm born and raised in Buchanan and got just as much of a southern accent as anybody from Mississippi. I love you, Judge. I know it's real. You said it out loud. It's okay. It's the truth. It's the truth. And so if I don't feel like I can show up as Bernice, that says less something about me and more about, do you feel safe enough for me to feel accepted as who I am? We get to be places of safety for people. That is where empowerment comes from. I look in this room and I see women who had a hand in raising me. And these were my mother's best friends, and these are aunties. These are folks who had permission to whoop me just as much as my parents did. And I know Jeannie probably tagged my thighs a couple of times down there fighting with Landon and Ryan. But what I also know is that my mother transitioned 15 years ago. My cheering section did not shrink. These women have spoken life into me. They have cheered me. They have held me accountable to my greatness. God has blessed me that more women have added to that group. I had the pleasure to meet our superintendent, Trish, and I felt like I don't know this woman my whole life the way she loves on me. She doesn't have to. She chooses to. This is what it means to be a place of safety and empowerment and encouragement. So I want to challenge each of us today. How can we push ourselves? How can we push ourselves to be encouragers? How do you push yourself to take the knowledge you have gained? Because let me tell you, just because you have gray hair does not mean your usefulness has run out. If anything, I would say, come on, y'all clap for yourself. I was blessed to be raised in a multi-generational home. My first best friend was my grandmother. Now, my grandmother, bless her heart, Miss Susie Bell Bobbitt, and Miss Bessie Barnett was two spitfires of little old ladies who didn't know how to pump gas between the two of them, so they had to go to sell full-service gas stations, would get lost, and I'm in the back seat just riding, praying I'm going to see my mama again. But what I learned sitting in that back seat was wisdom. Gray hair wisdom is a gift that is often overlooked and even more times underappreciated. Do not let your years on this earth be minimized or dismissed by people who do not know what treasure looks like. You are a wealth of information. I understand you may not know how to work the remote. I understand your cell phone be talking to you and you don't know why. But you know how to help me stay in a marriage because you are from a generation that when things were broken, you did not throw them away, you learned to fix them. You all are a priceless gift. Now imagine what it looks like if you begin to deposit that into younger generations. If you teach them that their worth is not generated from what they do, but from who they are. that they are more than just a mother, they are more than just a wife, but that they are a whole person. You have the ability to give that. And to us younger women, we have the ability to be the hands and feet of those who have vision, who may not have the strength to run on with it, but that we can carry the flag a little bit further. I stand on the shoulders of great women who, had it not been for them, I would not be where I am. Now, I'm not saying we don't need men. The reason I'm down here today is my lovely husband drove me down here. I am tired. Our 15-month-old, her pacifier was taken yesterday, and she let us know how she felt about it. And in case you were wondering, she was not pleased. But this man drove me to and from Florida in the last week because I had a keynote address in Florida and had to do a workshop. Women's empowerment is not about saying I don't need a man. It's about saying I'm just as strong as you are. I'm just as useful as you are. Your strength may look different than mine. Now, I'm not about to be taking the trash out. It's not that I can't. It's just not on my chair list. It's not on my chore list. But understanding that I don't have to step on him in order for me to come up. My pastor used to say, Eve was taken from Adam's side, not his foot to be under him and not his head to be over him, but for us to work side by side. It is my goal to raise young men. I have 2 sons and a daughter, but to raise young men who know and appreciate the strength of women, who understand what it means to be a gentleman, who understands what it means that it's okay for girls to do science and do math, and it's okay for boys to love art. It's okay for us to be who we are. I don't have to shrink to make room for you. So as we continue to move forward in helping people empower and speak life to women, I want to ask you, when was the last time you sold into someone else? When was the last time you poured life into another person and gave them permission to just be them? I want to also encourage you to love yourself well. Now, you might say, what do you mean by love yourself well? I mean that in 2 respects. Love yourself well is, and do it good. We are caregivers by nature. I just stood in front of a group of about 500 to 600 people who were assistant dog trainers. So these folks literally train dogs. They're CNI dogs. There's dogs who can detect if your diabetes is out of whack. I even had the pleasure to meet a dog who can smell cancer. And as I looked out on this sea of people, the whole reason I was there was to speak about self-care and burnout prevention. And when I asked these folks, did they take care of themselves, there was a collective laugh that happened across the room. Like, hi, have you met us? No, we take care of other people. And I feel like that's a sentiment that most women can identify with. We care for other people. We tend to be the ones who take care of other people's needs. If everybody in the house is sick and so is mom's not allowed to be quite as sick. That if something needs to be done, if a sacrifice needs to be made, we're the first ones to jump up to do it. What would it mean if I let someone care for me the same way I care for other people? How would my battery recharge if I actually knew what it meant to let someone else love me? To be loved well can also just be healing. There are traumas in this room. There are heartaches in this room. But more than that, there's strength in this room. But sometimes strength means just stopping. It takes more faith to stop trying to fix things and allow things the time and space to heal than it often does to just keep pushing forward despite your body begging you to stop. So I want to encourage each and every one of you ladies to get comfortable with being kind to yourself. You are a masterpiece original. The world is a better place because you are here. The world is a different place because you are here. How dare you mistreat such a gift? I oftentimes wonder about the internal conversations that we have with ourselves and the way we talk to ourselves and the frustration we express towards ourselves when we quote unquote mess up or drop the ball. Now, I'm gonna be a little transparent. We family at this point, I'm assuming. I can talk plain to y'all. I'm not always kind to me when I mess up. It's like, now you know better. Now, girl, you a whole doctor, get it together, come on now. Child, you own the company. Now, if you ain't on top of it, what the devil is the employees gonna do? But my question to myself often is would I talk to the people I love the same way I talk to myself? See, I'm that parent with my husband right by my side. You're not gonna talk to my children sideways. You're not going to put them in a place where they feel unsafe. I'm going to show up and show out and repent later. I would not dare allow someone to belittle my child. Because as his mother, it's my job to protect him. It is my job to build him up. So how dare I get so comfortable being rude and dismissive and harmful to myself? Ladies, I want to encourage you. Speak life and life more abundantly to yourself. Sometimes you got to stand in the mirror and look at yourself and say, baby, I'm not perfect, but I'm still moving. I might not have figured it all out, but I'm still living. God is not done with me yet because I'm not in the grave. You get to encourage yourself. And when I tell you, it's contagious. So you can't be in a room full of people who love themselves too much for too long, and you not all of a sudden start thinking, well, maybe I ain't quite that bad. Maybe I got a couple of these things is working out together. So I also want to encourage you, be careful where you plant yourself. Because everybody does not want to see you succeed. Everyone does not want to see you at peace and in joy. You have to be particular about who you let speak into you, pour into you, have access to you. I tell people all the time, being that my life is a privilege, not a right. I get to determine who has access to Bernice because I've got too much to do before I die to be wasting time, effort, and energy on someone who only wants my destruction. So I want to leave you all with this because we're going to watch the time. I ain't going to Baptist preacher y'all today. We're going to get out of here on time. You all are immensely powerful. You are world changers. You are life givers. But more than that, you all are women. And you are women who deserve the goodness and joy of this life. So be kind to yourself. Be gentle to yourself and accept nothing less from anyone else. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That was awesome. Before we go into intermission, I would like our panelists to briefly introduce yourselves, get a little synopsis of who you are and why you, not because we just invited you, but why you're here today. And then after each one of them, we'll have an intermission, and then I'll call us back in. So, Miss Honorable Mayfield, would you please start for us? Push the little button. There you go.
Okay, you all can hear me?
Oh, yeah.
You could hear me without this microphone. I will guarantee you, but I am being obedient, okay? And what did you say how we, to do, just why we were here, how we, okay. So the plan from on high today that I was to be here to tell Dr. Bernice, I didn't see, it's on now, it's a whole new game. I could be your mama. Because in 1982, I was birthing a baby. Okay? I love you too. And I have, with our experience, I've loved this woman for a long time too. She is just who she is. Now, I don't know, I see the gentleman moving around. Somebody, because I didn't look back, but somebody when I dashed to the bathroom said, Oh, she's really funny. If that was you, raise your hand so I could look at you again. That was, somebody said, oh, that was him. Okay, he said, she's really funny. And that was good, because I am. And I think I am. I think I'm hilarious. I don't know where everybody else goes. But just so much that we share, and listening, some more of that will come out as we go through some things. But one word, if you got a pen and you write it down, and Dr. Bernice will probably know it, I have to spell it to phonetically say it correctly. S-A-W-U-B, as in boy, O-N-A. Am I saying it right? Sayubwana? Sayubwana. It's Zulu. So we're going to talk about my daughter, who's your age, who I guess I poured into okay, because she pours back. She brought that one back to me. Sayubwana, you look it up, and it's Zulu. It's one of those, sometimes it's how you greet people, and it's some of those in languages different, and it's also how you say goodbye, the same word. And it means, I see you. Okay? It means I see you. And it's not with these eyes. It's I see you. And as you read through it, you'll see it's not just where you are now, but I see you. Where you can be, where you become. I told my daughter this week again how I wanted her to understand as we encourage our children, and when they get to be adults, it doesn't change, that she poured that back into me, and the impact that she then has had within our community because of what I have been able to, with that, pour back into others. You'll get maybe more of me, but every year since I have been chief judge, and there's more to that, but everybody in the courthouse gets something from me at the end of the year. And they were all building blocks to kind of get where we are. And at one point, on the cup they got this year, it also says, Sayubwana. And that's because we are a trial court family, all that you're talking about, and supporting one another and having community in being seen. And in remembering that the person next to you needs to be seen, just like you would like to be seen. Just seen. Nothing special, just I really am here. That makes a difference. That's on the good days, that's on the bad days, because some days at the computer is not good. It just depends on what happened coming in. And for me, my desire for every employee there is that you have the comfort, and this is everybody, judges, everybody else, and all my judges know, judges, you can put on a robe and go sit on a bench, and it means absolutely nothing if all the other people have not done everything necessary in terms of assisting you. Everybody needs to be seen. Make it a point to walk the long way into the office to say good morning to everybody. And I know how important that is to them. That's how we work. That's more. That's a little bit about me. We'll get some more, but it's on now. I remember that I could be your mama. So remember that as we move forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
I'm Janet, loud. I'm Janet Bloch, and I am Executive Director of an art center in Michigan City. It's pronounced Lubeznik Center for the Arts. It's a family name. I have been a feminist my whole life, once I knew what it was, because I also could be your mama.
Noticing a theme here.
I grew up, I kind of came of age, so, in the 70s, basically, is when I was in college, and I believe that I'm here because somebody heard me speak, and I probably mentioned that a lot of my career, both as an artist and as somebody who ran a feminist gallery in Chicago for many years, a nonprofit, And now what I bring into the, I think into the Art Center is a voice of equity, trying to make sure that people who haven't been heard and seen get heard and seen is very important to me, and forming really authentic relationships in our community and listening to people and giving people an opportunity where I can. I'm not that powerful, but I do speak up. I was sharing with Jennifer that one of the things, and this will probably be a question later, but you know, so when I was in college, just briefly, part of the reason this formed me was the only women artists, I grew up in Chicago, and the only women artists that I really ever heard of were Georgia O'Keeffe and Mary Cassatt, because even Frida Kahlo wasn't somebody who was known about that at that time. And one of the first things that changed my life was a book about women artists. It was a book that I got from women artists 1550 to 1950. And having a sense of history about what other women had done and achieved changed my life. So we'll talk a little later, but that's who I am, and I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Miss Vicki Brown.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm Vicki, and my short story is I founded Dustin's Place in November of 2019, started serving families in January of 2020, and Dustin's Place is named in honor of my late husband, Dustin Cullen, who died in August of 2016 in a single car accident. And so through our life trials, we have a choice to make. We can either allow them to control us and change our lives, or we can find the purpose in the trial that we are in. And so through his death, I came to realize the lack of resources available for children and our children. I was 34 years old. We had 3 young children, a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 11-month-old, and there was nowhere for them to go. There was no one to support them. It was a 10-month wait list for my daughter to receive therapy, and I could never have afforded it anyways, living on a single income at that time as a widow. And so I was a teacher at the time, left teaching, opened a nonprofit, Dustin's Place, to serve children and families after the death of someone in their life. His death was not my plan, but it was God's. Ecclesiastes tells us there's a time for everything. And the time for his death was also the time for me to be a widow, because my heart had to break for the grieving community to understand what they did not have. And so we have now been open for 5 years. We are located in Plymouth, but we serve the entire community around us who can come to us. We are not limited to any one specific community. It took me 37 minutes to get here today from Dustin's Place, so it is certainly an easy drive to get to. Our mission is that no one grieves alone. We meet that mission through no wait list and no cost grief support. We do not charge for our services, and we do not take insurance, because there are plenty of other barriers at the time of a death that get in the way. We do not need to cause further. And I think my reason for being here is because we are supposed to be best friends. I don't know why else I'm here. I mean, I'm a woman. Yeah, I think we're supposed to be best friends by the end of the day. Yeah. So we'll figure out why else I'm here. We are. And one day apart. February 28th. See? There we go. There we go.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I love it. See how things come together? I wanted you guys all to meet them so that way, as you enjoy refreshments, y'all, we overbought. Please eat that food. Otherwise, all of us going to be taking home to-go containers. But take a moment, get some refreshments, socialize, come say hello. We'll let them eat as well. But I wanted you guys all to meet our panelists so that way, after we ask formally the questions, you have an idea of who they are, so that way you can ask them questions as well. So we'll take a short intermission. Everyone, Take your time finishing up your refreshments. There's still plenty more back there to help yourselves. But we're going to continue on with our program. And I will turn the mic back over to Dr. Patterson. She will be asking our panelists different questions. And if we have time, we will then invite the audience, if you have any questions, to participate as well. But I'll let her direct on all of that. So let's get back started with her story.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Let's give Stephanie a round of applause. She's doing so well. We appreciate it. And can we give a round of applause to One Buchanan for putting on this beautiful event? I think just like those 4 ladies who had that tea party, it would have been easy to talk about doing this, but y'all said, well, doggone it, we gonna do it. So thank y'all so much for putting feet to such a wonderful event. Well, ladies, how y'all doing? I'm excited to dig into these questions and get some meat on the bones about how we are going to empower women. So I am going to start with Ms. Janet. So what I want to ask you is, can you tell me some of your personal experiences or reasons that has motivated you to think and care about women's empowerment?
Sure. I grew up, like I said, when I'm a little, I know this just that people tell me, I am older than I look. And I grew up at a time when, like we had to wear skirts and knee socks to school, right? And freezing cold weather. Men ran the world. Well, they still do pretty much, but it was normal for that, And so I was born in 1955, and I have 2 older sisters, just to put it in context. And when I was about 13 years old, I remember watching TV and seeing stuff. I mean, when I was younger, I saw stuff about the civil rights movement. And when I was a little older, in middle school, I started seeing stuff about women's liberation, I think is what it was sort of called then. And it really resonated with me because I felt like I was held back as a girl. I mean, I felt like it resonated. And I think my mother held herself, well, I know she did. She held herself back too because I think she would have liked to do a lot of different things with her life, but at the time, like my father didn't want her to work because it reflected poorly on the family, was the sort of, so I'm just saying like this stuff just resonated with me, like I knew it felt right. And then, as I said, when I got a little bit older and I decided to be more career path into art school, I was really, I went to several universities, and I ended up at the School of the Art Institute of Chicago in the late 70s, and my art was really disparaged, and I'm going to tell you exactly why it was disparaged. My professors said it was too personal, too autobiographical. Wow. It was too illustrative and too decorative. Wow. All the things that if you look now, and especially, I don't know how many of you are familiar with like the art world, but there's a lot of artists of color right now who are very famous, and those are the kinds of works they do. Mm-hmm. And so I felt so discouraged, and what you were saying about speaking life into people really resonated with me. And those were and then I said, like, when I got this book, I took a class in women. It was like one of the first feminist classes in our school, and it was the history of women in art. And I got this book that was like, we all had to get it. And it just was like, I was just like, what? Like, who knew? Who knew? And it just opened something up in me that really made me understand how much I'd been, I don't like to use the word cheated out of, but how much not having your history known to you deprives you of empowerment. So I guess like that's the short story about it. And then, you know, I can look at it throughout all the things in my life about focusing on things like how I look instead of what I learn and what I like. And honestly, the world is still a lot like that. There's, you know, we all know about privilege and privilege being granted to people who are a little more polite, don't speak up in meetings, don't tell people their truth. And I sit in a lot of rooms with people where it's not just it's men and women. Nobody likes to go against the flow, even if somebody's like really off base, like it. And I'm just somebody who doesn't like. I don't know. I just learned at some point. I'm a late bloomer. I don't know how many of you are late bloomers or think of that, but I was like, I'm not keeping my mouth shut anymore. Like that's not right. So those are my personal things that have happened to me.
But I think that's so powerful because, and I think you can say cheated. I think there's nothing wrong with saying that because the reality is if I don't know where I've been, it's hard to know where I'm going. And so you getting a hold of the knowledge of what women had done told you, well, doggone it, if they could do it, why not me? And I love that the very thing that they tried to kill inside of you and tell you was not enough was the very thing that God said, now watch me work. And he used that to make you you. And your art is your art. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And I would just say, too, that I've learned now personally, friendships, business, whatever, I can't be around people who want you to hide your light. So if somebody, I just want to say that, that's my personal thing now, that if people need to squish your light to be better, to feel better, like they might not even know they're doing it. I really learned to guard, like when you were talking in the keynote, those things really resonated with me. Like, I can't be around that, you know.
That's right. Okay. I'm saving that. Y'all, my whole child is waving on, Mom, like, I know you see me. Hi, Pumpkin. Right, she agreed. She is not going to let her light be squashed. That's right. So thank you so much for that, Janet. Thank you so much. Judge Mayfield, I would love for you to tell us, what do you think is the most significant barrier to female empowerment?
I can tell you, I made notes, so I can try to stay on task. And I mentioned my daughter as well, who is your mama. And so we are generationally, apart. I was 25 when she was born, and so 25 years is a pretty good. 25 years is a good piece of time within which where things have shifted and where they are. And so I had her specifically to respond to that question. I said, let me know what your thought would be, those of you who would be on Facebook, and responding and stuff. And she said, isolation and individualism has robbed women of community. Doing all the things all the time, carrying makes building a community hard. And it's like, yes, that's true. I think that that's probably, and in my own words, that's nothing more than we talked about friends. In the community, growing up, you had friends. And sometimes that's all you had. We had no machine. I mean, you had friendships. And you developed even your play, your games. Captain, may I? Okay, I have Mother, may I say? There's, in my office, there's a picture of some little girls doing this. What'd you call it? Double Dutch. Double Dutch, yes, but they didn't even have ropes. Bumping. You remember bumping? Yeah. Okay. Children now don't even know. One, you got exercise, you had probably open air that was far better for you, and you laughed. Laughter is a healing, So all of this now that my grandsons do have, I got it. But no, you need to learn how. That's important. And when women are able to bond and have respect for themselves and one another, then that takes out that we're trying to compete with each other. We don't need to compete with you. We both embrace each other, different as may be. And that happens now, and from her perspective, I'll bring it back into the corporate world, and when you're in the room. And I do believe that there is, as she said, the process is, if I'm going to be the woman, because we often still have, that's just a whole other piece you had about how are there more, of us. Right now in our court system, there are 11 judges, and I think we're almost there. There are 5 women now, 1, 2, which is about, close to 50%. But I remember when there was 1. Okay. And being the first of anything is, has its thing. I'll come back to that's another piece. But it's important to have the community, for women to be able to, in a room, catch somebody's eye and you don't have to say a word. And have a whole conversation. An entire conversation with one look that nobody else is like, and it's like you want to stand up and go, "Did you hear what he just said?" You don't have to do all that. And it's all done. But you need to, that's a freedom. You have to develop that. Like the guy said, I think I'm a stitch, and I think it helps. I know it helps me, and I know it has helped in terms of meeting people and letting other people feel comfortable. That's the other thing. You need to feel comfortable. I want you to be comfortable with me. And then we get to really share. We get to really, and then you can do that thing quickly and be okay. That's one of that was her biggest ones, and I wrote emotional versus emotions. We need to train people. Women are emotional. That's something here. Men have emotions. Turn on the game, oh my gosh, and be ready to fight almost, and it's emotion. And if you don't make a distinction within that, you'll get confused. Women being emotional is nothing different than men and their emotions. Okay, but that they get that twisted at times. I think I said, that was the one, what was, be your best advocate, be your own self, your best advocate, and that means you do get free in yourself. You are comfortable in your skin. You don't have to worry about anybody else's, they accept, they don't accept. And then you're in a better position to advocate, because unfortunately, I'm not that one, or fortunately, I am not the one. Everybody else sits, and I know. And I used to hate that really almost as a kid. It's like, why must I be the one? And then I figured out, I'm the one. That was it, okay. And I am, and I've learned to do it respectfully. Okay, real short story, talk about being the one. It said, so Michigan State Bar building, Lansing, Michigan, it is beautiful, pristine, marble everywhere. And my story is a whole God thing. But in 1989, perhaps, I ended up on a committee. I have to drive from here to Lansing. The only other person who went the farthest was the guy who came in on the plane from the UP. So a lot of Lansing, big law firms and the whole thing. And it was actually the Judicial Qualifications Committee. You had to go through there if you were getting appointed by the governor to get, okay, so I'm sitting here going like, wow, why am I here? God, this is really interesting how God works things out. And it used to take we have all-day sessions, and they would do food and stuff and take a break. And during one of the breaks, and I'm trying to think, I don't think I was the only African American at that time. I think there was another male. But during that break, This is when bow ties still and pipes. That's how long that was, okay? Okay? Yeah, but no, we went out. They went out, but they probably could have in it, but they went outside. And so I'm that person, and everybody went to their little group. I have a group. So you got to figure out, what do you do? What do you do? And I kind of looked around, and so I actually ended up walking up towards these 3 men, bow ties and all, 2 of them with the pipes. And I just stood there. And there were a couple of minutes, and the one guy said, "Did you want something?" And I said, "No." And they continued talking, and I just stood there. And I don't remember specifically the second thing, but it was another pause of, can we help you with something? No. And then he said, "Did they send you out here to get us?" And I said, "No. I was just looking at the sky, and it was a frosty day. It was like September." I said, "Just looking at the sky and the trees, because you know how the ice can capture, and they just glisten with the marble. And I thought it was just such a pristine picture that I would add a little color to it." And then you got the eyes, and it was like I had 3, and everybody was blinking and trying to, what do you do? And the one out of that 3, I got one. And he smiled, and we smiled, and we were best buddies from that point on, And he always had my back, I had his back, with what's going on. But it was, so humor, I do. I think it is just, but you got to feel good about you first, okay? That's a story.
I love it. So one of the things, that's going to tickle me for the rest of my forever. I just need you to know that. But one of the things that you said that just so spoke to me was women speaking into other women, and that I can adjust your crown in private. And I don't have to be envious of where God is taking you. Because I had a pastor tell me once, he said, I get excited when God is blessing you because that tells me he's in the neighborhood. So I don't have to be mad if he ain't knocked on my door yet. If he knocked on yours, my door is coming up. And I think as women, we have a privilege and an honor to be able to celebrate our sisters in private and in public. I don't have to be mad at you for doing great. So thank you for being one of those women who love people out loud and on purpose and always add a little bit of color to the room. I love it. I love it. Miss Vicki, my new BFF. We working on it. We got to exchange phone numbers, the whole thing. So how can we expand women's links to each other? So I'm thinking mentorship, coaching, networking, any other ways. But how do you think we can make those connections?
I think you both have touched on it. It's collaboration and not competition.
Yes.
We're often in a space where we feel like we have to compete.
Yes.
For whatever that is. And that has a lot to do with being a woman and coming up and trying to do it. But it infiltrates amongst ourselves too. And we don't need to compete with each other. You can be great and I can be great and we can be even greater together.
Yes. I love it. And can you speak to a bit of what do you think makes that difficult? What pits us against each other instead of in each other's corners?
I think it's society. Yeah. I honestly think it's society because there's a lot more power in the world when we're divisive than there is if we all come together. And so when they can divide anyone, their power goes outside of them. And so I think it's this falseness of, okay, well, if we're competing, then I'm building myself up and I can get stronger that way. But that's not true. If we have, the more people we have in our corners, the better our community is, the better those that we're trying to serve are, and the more resources we have. So I think if we stay, my lane is grief. I'm phenomenal at it. But that doesn't mean that you can't be great at therapist, right? And let's work together because when you're doing great and I'm doing great, whoever we're serving is doing even greater.
That's it. I love it. And I love love that you're not asking anyone to not be them.
Yeah.
In order for us to move forward. It's like, no, I want you to be you. I want you to bring all of you to the table so I can bring all of me to the table so we can do the work that we've been sitting here to do.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
And when we do the work we're supposed to do, we can do it great. It's when I try to do these 6 lanes
Come on.
that I can't do
Y'all
those
hear
6
her, ladies?
lanes.
We ain't got to do all the things all the time for all of the people.
But I can do my one
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
You can do your one amazing. And we can make a highway together.
Amen. That's awesome. I love that. Come on. And you can get in the slow lane. Come on. Fast lane. Now I got ticket money lane. Like, get in whatever lane you want to get in, but be in yours. I like it. I like it. Judge Mayfield, what makes you a strong woman? What fulfills you?
So I'll pick up kind of where you were when you said your mother and what she poured into you. So this is really me now. This is the Herstory. Anybody in here other than me a PK?
I'm PK one generation removed.
Okay. So if you don't know what a PK is, that's called a preacher's kid. There's a special booth up there in heaven. I'm positive about that. Yeah, and no special dispensation. We all just get in under the blood and by grace, but there's a booth that is going to acknowledge PK. That's my trauma. Everybody's got trauma. Everybody in the world. That's my trauma. So I was born in, you got me, 1957 in Arkansas. And my mother was the last girl of 10, not 10 family, but 2 girls, actually 4, you know the story. But okay, she was next to the last one born. And she was born in 1920. My father was born in 1914. So that's where they came from, okay? And I grew up knowing the stories. My parents knew Dr. Martin Luther King. My father, Baptist minister, Southern Baptist, and so he and King and so there's a lot of history that goes with that. But when you are in that situation, I praise God every day though for older parents. They had wisdom, they had history, they had their stories, they understood. And my mother specifically poured into and purposed in me. I think both of them were funny in different ways. My father was hilarious. He thought so, for sure. And that was outside of the pulpit. People didn't understand, oh, that's a laugh right there. But the story is about, I grew up, like I said back then, head of the household, all of that, head. And the joke everybody knew, my mother always said, but the head don't turn without the neck. Okay. So that's who she was. Okay, I mean, accurate. Yeah, gotta go with it. And I remember, and it took me a long time to understand it, I was watching TV, Judd for the Defense. My mother was a school teacher. She was out there walking around that barrel, and it's wintertime, because now that's when they strike. No, that was not happening. For me, the pastor was not an option, okay? And so there we are, what you gonna do? Oh, this lawyer thing. And honestly, that God spoke a day, and I knew from that point on, everything in my life shifted to, I wanted to be a lawyer, go to law school, all of that. So my father's older sister, which meant we were before 1914, right? And I remember standing, I still to say exactly where I was, in the kitchen, by the stove. She was there. She was not my favorite anyway, but she was there, and I said something about law school, and she said, they're not gonna let you do that. And again, confusion crossed my brain, and I said, they who? And she said, well, the white people. I have a better appreciation for that now, for before 1914 and where she was and the experience. Fast forward, my mother, when I was like 5, and she worked in, my father came there at that church in El Dorado. It was called First Baptist Black or Negro, something with that. And then there was a First Baptist there, and so his very first thing was, and we're changing that to First Baptist, Second and Cordell. I'm gonna put a street. We don't have no color people, okay? I think it said colored. I think that was more in like with that. It's like not happening. But but anyway, so from there, my mother, she started in a one-room school, totally black, everybody at kindergarten, everybody's in there, everybody. And then the school was across from the church, and so it was, like I said, interesting community, not that time, but where she taught. And of course, black teacher, black school, white superintendent, right? And they used to take pictures, same thing, you took school day pictures. And I saw the school day pictures and her kids, and I wanted to take pictures. And my mother said, you have to go and ask Mr. Muldrew. Okay, so go down the hall, ask Mr. Muldrew, and he's a big white man, and hey, baby, it was all good. And that was the story. I remember, I can take pictures. Years later, as we talked, she explained to me, there are two things phenomenal with what she did. She explained to me, I did not want you to be fearful of white people. So I didn't want you to have that fear. I guess I didn't, because when I'm getting Mr. Muldrew, I just need to go, so I'm the one, I'm that person. The other thing she did after 18, when I was about 18, graduating, those of you who I think in this group remember baccalaureate services as well, things of the past. But we used to have, that was Sunday, get you dress up extra and go down and had the little program, and everybody was going, They got a baccalaureate book. I opened it up, and I'm like, where are all these people going? Vista, what? Well, there were things that me, who thought, I was 17 then, but thought I knew stuff. What are you all doing? I remember mentioning that to my mom, and I was like, I didn't know this stuff was here. I just thought everybody went to college. She said, yeah. Like, no apology? No nothing? And I said to this beautiful little 5'2" woman, boy, you brainwashed me. And I expected something from that, something. And she said, yep. That's all I knew. And what we do, how we do it, it does shape us. So I am much of who I am because of my parents, their life experiences that they poured into me. There's so much more in terms of the history with all of that, but who I am, and it all makes a difference, which means we all have a story that needs to be shared. And as I was listening here about the intersection, again, it's about you talking here about your mindset. So if everything and all the cars converging is something bad, that's a bad thing, collision. If in fact there's just a nice intersection, just a nice intersection, and we all intersect, and then you see what happens. That's a bigger thing with that.
I love that. Your mother and father said greatness will be your beginning point, not the end. So it was all you knew was to search for greatness. And if you fell short, you would still fall at great. Like, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Miss Vicki, what are ways men can be good allies? I threw that out there earlier because I am who I am because I have a husband who has my back beyond anybody's knowing. But how can they be good allies? And then what do we need to do to engage and inspire more male advocates? How do we help make the next generation even better?
I still feel like it's that collaboration, right? Like we don't have to prove ourselves greater by standing on top of men. We can walk alongside them. My husband, I am remarried. Since my late husband died, I am remarried, and he is my quietest advocate. I mean, when I show up at an event and I forget the right pair of shoes, he's bringing 3 of them. He doesn't know which ones. He knows the color. Like, he knows what, like, he is that solid, that consistent behind me. And I can't do what I do without him. But then I think it's important that we reassure them of that. Because I think for us strong personality women who are fully functioning without them, they need to know that we need them. I mean, they need to know that they serve a purpose. But it's that same way in the corporate world, too. When I'm with a male colleague or someone that I'm trying to partner with, I am not trying to prove my worth to him. I am letting him see how we can be together and we can work together, because proving my worth isn't what he needs to see. He needs to see how we can build this together. And I think a lot of times when we go into situations, the pressure's on to prove our worth. I remember when I started Dustin's Place, I was a PE teacher starting a nonprofit with no business degree. Right? That's all I had. I knew the calling. Like, I can vividly recall where I was in my quiet time journaling when I had the calling. So I knew it was the calling, but I still felt inadequate. Or I felt, inadequate in the room. I didn't have letters after my name. I had a bachelor's degree, no other letters after my name. And I found myself in my gut feeling like I need to prove who I am, that I'm worthy of this, instead of just trusting my calling. But that's on us. Yeah. That's not on the person who's across the table from me. That's not, whether it's a man or a woman, that's on us. And so I honestly think to inspire anyone to be a good advocate is to let them know, I need you. We got to do this together. And my strong personality, my boldness doesn't diminish your.
Oh, I love that. As a person married to an introvert's introvert, I feel bad for my husband oftentimes. Like, he trained for COVID his entire life. It was like, everybody I need to talk to is at this house, so I'm good. He had no problems. It was like quarantine. He was like, say less. By day 3, I was like talking to the walls. I was going crazy. But I think it's so important that we let the people who support us know, I see you and I appreciate you. Like, I don't want you to think it's taken for granted that you do these things. I think oftentimes as women, we know what it's like for people to just expect us to do the things. Like, oh, of course mom's gonna cook. Of course mama's gonna leave work to bring my gym bag that she threatened me about 4 times before she walked out the door, and I still managed to forget. It goes so far to say thank you.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you, and that what you do matters. So I think, like, I love this idea of collaboration. It has to be about a us and not a me or a you.
Absolutely.
We're so much more powerful with the we.
Props to your husband for being here.
Okay.
My husband is also an introverted, and he could unpeople every day.
Yes.
I get 3 events a year that he will be present at, and that's our understanding.
You got your 3.
I get 3. Choose wisely. Is this really where you want me today?
That's
Because
it.
you're losing one later in the year.
That's
This is
it.
where I'm at.
That's it. It's like pay it forward.
Yeah.
Pay it forward. Oh gosh, Miss Vicki, I'm so excited about this. So, as you called yourself seasoned, because we don't nothing get old but clothes. We're seasoned, and the clothes get old, you just buy some new ones. Or if you wait long enough, they're gonna be back in style, so it's okay anyhow. How do you find a wonderful balance between career, personal life, and passion? And to throw a little mixing in the water, do you really think there is such a thing as balance?
Okay, so I'm very bad at this.
Microphone,
No, I'm not bad at them. I'm very bad at balance.
Oh, bless your heart.
I'm very bad at balance.
I appreciate your honesty.
I think for me, because I said I was a late bloomer, and I am, because I was really, really shy. People are amazed when I tell them how shy I was, because I am. My husband's outgoing, but he's like, an hour before we have to leave somewhere, he's like, start saying goodbye, okay? Like, because I am just more sociable with people, so I think that for me, I'm going to really speak just for me, there's a season to it. And I was an artist and worked at a lot of different jobs to make a living for a very long time. I was nearly 50 when I took the job as education director at Lubeznik Center for the Arts. We lived in Chicago. We moved to Northwest Indiana. I'd been there a few years. And really, a lot of my ambition was to be just professional artist and try to get to the point where I could make my living that way. And then 2008 hit, and my husband's business was not great, and our savings was not great. And the greatest thing happened to me, which was that I got the job that I never thought I wanted, and it was a total gift. It was a God thing. It was like I was put in a place where I just woke up every day and wanted to go to work. And I do credit having a boss who was an encourager, but I also saw the potential. We are the art place in our area. And I saw, my philosophy, and I'll get back to the balance, but my philosophy was, do I want kids in Michigan City or adults or, neighbors, do I want them to see art that's not as good as 60 miles away in Chicago? Yeah. Why would I want that for anyone? Why would we shortchange what we are going to build in our community? And I guess the point is that I became really mission-driven in my life, like a new purpose. And so I tell people, it is true, I don't have balance, but I embrace what I'm doing. And I don't, I know I have choices. I could say no to a lot of things. I could do that. And I just say, this is my passion, and I want to see some stuff happen. Because I am not getting younger, and so I do try to take care of myself. My social life, I don't see a lot of friends. I do see my family. I have to prioritize what I do. But for many, many years, social life and friendships and doing things for others was very important to me. And now I feel like I have a bigger mission that I do want to make space for people to show their art, to hear their voices, to tell their truths, to encourage that. I have a lot of things that I want to bring into the community with public art, which is a great benefit to mental health and to economic development. And I'm running on, I want to do it. So I'm not apologizing. So when I tell somebody I'm not picking up the phone because I have an hour before I go to bed and I want to watch a Law and Order rerun for the 100th time, I do not apologize for it. Right? It's like that is making time for myself. So yeah, balance though. I think that there's different times in your life when different things take over.
Yeah.
So.
But I love that you put yourself on your list to say, if I need my hour of Law and Order, and before the captions come on, I already know what the episode is, and I know it's one I like. Merry Christmas. You watch your Law and Order. So.
I do also. I meditate every morning for about a half hour, and I do take time to journal. My morning time with my 2 cats is sacred, but then I'm off and running. So.
I love it. Oh gosh. All right. Ms. Vicki, what advice do you have for women looking to grow either their own businesses or within the company that they work for?
I think the best piece of advice I was ever given is do what you can do great before you do anything else. And that was a game changer for me as I was opening up a nonprofit, because you see the hurt and the need out in the community. And you're just like, oh, I can do that, I'll do that. But until you can do what you can do great, Don't add other things onto it, because you're not going to do what you can do great long if you keep adding more and more to it. And so that was my best piece of advice. Do what you can do great before you add another piece.
So now we're speaking into longevity.
Yeah.
And greatness. Instead of, I'm going to have a hot second, I'm going to give it to you hot and ready, and now I'm burnt out.
Exactly.
Versus, how do I speak life and longevity into my legacy? Because here's the thing, ladies, we are legacy builders. Legacy is birthed out of us, and we want our legacy to outlive us, but we want to enjoy it while we're building it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to have to borrow that one. Do what you can do great. All this extra stuff, baby. You can't be on every PTA club.
Right.
And your cookie's not that good anyhow. So they just didn't want to tell you. They was being polite. So I love it. I love it. Judge Mayfield, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self?
Wait for it. We got seasons. And if I get the book finished, it will be, as I look at myself, and I've told you it's a God thing. It's a God thing from the very beginning. My mother was 37 years old. Then everybody had babies early, right? And didn't think. Thought if they'd been married 15 years, 12 years by that point, 12, 15 years. Didn't think so. Here I am. I believe I am still the first Baptist baby. I was trying to call, I got to call really, because somebody needed to break that. But the other ministers who came, the one after Daddy had 18 children when he got there. So it's like, they weren't adding any. And, and so I don't know. I may still be the first Baptist baby. I need to find, because now I should be grandbaby. You know, I need to do a scholarship for somebody. But moving to Gary, Indiana was one of the worst and the best things that happened to me. I told you who they were, wonderful people, loved them. I was loved beyond measure. And that's the thing that can be too much. And God knew that. And he said, okay, well, here we go. Indiana will fix that for you. Whew, and did it. Then that became almost hated, just the opposite of, and like, wow, what is this thing that we are doing? And so I learned how to navigate just a whole lot of things, but what had been poured in was already there, okay? And then that was me, and it was not its time. Then we end up here. Berrien County, didn't even know it existed. 60 miles down the road, didn't know it existed. And I will confess it was a very, very interesting place for Benton Harbor St. Joe. You know, it's Berrien County, so you all know. Very interesting place. And I started working at Legal Services. Let me get back around to the question was the how. Advice, okay. So I have to bring you up there. That's what I said, God did. Started working at Legal Services before I got out of law school. One of the things I remember most there was this man when Bendix and some of that stuff started closing down. Everybody was losing everything. White people were losing boats. Black folks, it didn't matter. Everybody was losing stuff. And he came in, and I remember he kept doing this thing. I said, it's like, sir, I'm 22 years old, you know. You could be my grandfather. You can't look at me? That's a crushed spirit. I had never seen anything like that. So things that I had heard, I'm not from here, but things that I had heard, it's like, okay, let me put pictures together, you know, what's going on. So you can be influenced, you know, within things that you hear. So over there doing my thing, had a hearing, walking right back across the parking lot going, Mr. Bernard Kingsley was coming out, had his little bag, and he said, I said, well, like, where are you going, Bernard? He said, I just got a call from the governor getting appointed to the bankruptcy thing, so I'm leaving the referee job. You should apply for it. And me and Sarah got a thing going on. You remember how Sarah laughed. Okay, well, that came back on her, too. Okay, you know, I laughed. Yeah, right. Okay. walked across the street, when I say God, walked back into my office, phone rang. It's the president of State Bar. He wants to talk to you. I can't even pronounce his name. I do now, Gusagian. But I could, what? And that was the invitation to be on this committee that I did not know at that time was the coveted committee. I heard people talking about making applications. Never in life did I make an application for that committee. Okay. Wow. All right. Hung the phone up. Phone rang again. Same right there. It's the judge from next door. Yes, sir. Ben just retired. He's leaving here. Would you be interested in the referee position? It's a day. Well, first, I think maybe you should post it. What do you think? Do we want to have some other people have an opportunity? We just need to follow that, That day that we had a big party, it was the first time, and we just did a thing for Black History Month, they did, and I let them do it. So that was the first time as I took the referee spot that an African American had ever sat on a Berrien County bench. And so, we had frappe and stuff, and folks came in. Frappe. Yes, frappe. It's been a minute. We had frappe, and you appreciate that, because it was frappe, okay? And getting my little office up, my mom and dad had driven up from Gary, and there. And there are these two gentlemen of the bar, stately men that I knew, and they were like peering through the window, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? He said, we've been watching you. Okay, don't know what that means, but okay. Well, thanks, And shortly thereafter, I got another invitation to get on a bar committee. It's a 2-year thing, okay. Second term, how about you don't do that anymore in the nomination? We wanted to nominate you. What? For what? Okay, and then we'll do the secretary thing, okay. And it really wasn't until that night when everybody took the vote, because you know how you do that, the ballot, aye, everybody, okay, that I realized this was a thing. When you were the secretary, your next stop was the vice president, and then you were the president. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. And I still remember what I was wearing. Got home, same spot there in the bed where we are. My husband sitting there, and I said, I have no idea where this is going, but are you in? Because if you're not in, we're not in. So I got back up. I got to back up. 45 years this June, I got to back up. Okay. And so I became president of the bar. And again, God decided, okay, this is the year we're going to go to the new system. Okay, that's a good thing. And that was interesting. And it was all the women, they loved me. They came to bar meetings, just different wives. They loved me. It was like, okay, okay, it's all good. And walking down the hall with the then chief judge who said, well, this other judge, he's going, they're moving up, so there's going to be an opening here. You should put your name in. Again. And I did. And I did not, and he said, you get to go to the governor's office in Lansing. They're going to do an interview. If nothing more, it's good. Just a good experience. Be on your resume. I was like, get an outfit? Okay, well, let's do that. Do that thing. And didn't get it, which was fine. Didn't expect it. Had to go in front of the committee that I had sat on. That's like I told you around, so I'm going to go back. Yeah, wonderful experience. Because I knew how it worked. I didn't get it, but I never had to interview again, which meant I got, and I knew the politics and how the things, work. That was fine, but I never had to go back. There was another opening, and I know how that worked because there was someone that they wanted, and that was a woman, female, great, we're best of, they wanted her there then. The next one was really supposed to be somebody else. I think everybody thought so, because somebody came and told me that morning, you should get it, but it's not going to be you, because they were all putting the signs together for the other thing, and it's not you. And then they called. how far is this going on video? I want to explain the full truth. So came in from church that night and the phone rang. Sometimes you gotta answer the call when you gotta, and so I missed the phone call. I missed the call. And they were like, okay, well, we'll be trying to call you at work tomorrow, So I kind of knew by that point, but waited for the call that next morning. And that was an appointment from the governor. And it changed sort of everything. It was necessary for where that community was at the time. And yeah, that was a thing. And then God, when I thought he was done being funny, and he wasn't, I was working to get somebody else. Somebody had to go with the chief, and I was working to somebody else to get who the chief was. I remember walking out the room, and you ever been in a space where you walk out the room and you come back and ooh, everything has changed. I'm not sure what happened, but everything has changed. It was a shift. And they had shifted towards me, and I was like, wait a minute. No. And it was yes. And I would not have done that. Timing, my mother died the January before the application had to go in June. She was almost 99. That was my roadie. We went everywhere. My husband, that I would not, had she still been on earth, I would have just told him, no, she's more important than anything. But she and Jesus took care of that one. And we did it, put the application in, got the job, appointed by the Supreme Court, January 1st, 2000. 2020, who knew? 2020? Who knew? So the short answer to your question is, it's a God thing. And all of mine is by faith and just but he did that because when I scoffed every time, I didn't know what I could do. I found out in 2020 what I could do. Berrien County is one of the few counties and courts in the state of Michigan that did not close. We did not close. And then the devil got in there and tried to close us. He sure did. Had some crazy stuff happen. People what? Because it was just that. Y'all are still open? How can that be? How can that be? Because we're still working. What do you mean? Got people. And 2 days before it was supposed to be for real, we didn't shut. So y'all never shut down in Berrien County. Your courthouse did not. We were always there to serve the people. It's a God thing. Be patient. You don't know the path. He's got it completely worked out. Things you could not imagine. It is truly all about him.
Amen. Thank you for that, Judge Mayfield. Woo! I might now. If you hear me preach that, don't you be mad at me. My text is wait for it. Don't you bother me, because that thing will preach. But wait for it. Yeah. Yes. Because here's the thing: what God has for you, you are not talented enough to mess it up. He has already put into position everything for your delay, for your Jesus is you show, you went down the wrong path. All of that's already been calculated in and on the calendar. Just wait for it. So if you all would join me in thanking these wonderful women for this amazing panel today. So I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie, and she in turn will dismiss.
Oh, I enjoyed you all so much. Thank you so much for being here. We ran out of time to ask questions. Hi, baby girl. We're going to let you go. We're going to let all of y'all go. But before I do, just couple of things I want to go over. First, I want to proudly express what the One Buchanan mission and vision statements are. Our mission statement for One Buchanan is, One Buchanan wants to promote awareness of our rich diversity through education, activities, and programs that strengthen our inclusive community. And our vision statement is, One Buchanan is the catalyst for creating an inclusive community that values and celebrates our diversity so that way we can thrive together. I hope that our forum today did just that. I want you all to know that there is a donation box in the back. And we also want to give an invitation to you all, and please spread the word about One Buchanan, an invitation to come to our meetings. We hold once a month, every Wednesday at 6 o'clock at the Michigan Gateway Community. We want all of you to join us, invite the youth, so that way we can continue to come up with great ideas and to be able to continue to build and bring awareness to our community. We also host scholarships that we try to grant as many kids as we possibly can of our graduates of Buchanan High School. So if you all donate with the t-shirts, the bags, or just want to throw us a few dollars, we take those because those will go back into our community to bless one of our high school graduating seniors with a scholarship as they graduate this school year and every school year as long as we're financially able to do so. Our One Buchanan members, we're all wearing our new 2025 design shirts. I hope you all will purchase one. I would like our One Buchanan board members that are in attendance to just stand and wave. Most of you all know who they are, but just stand and wave so I can give them all acknowledgement. I want to thank all of my board members, or our board members, for putting this together. And once again, the Michigan Gateway Community Foundation, if I haven't said so. I had a whole little speech, but it's a little bit after 4, and we want to be on time. There's plenty of food. Adam has pulled out some to-go bags if you guys want to take anything with you. We thank you. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day, and we are One Buchanan. Thank you all for coming out.